Hey you guys, what's up? Happy birthday to America. This is actually being recorded on the 4th of July. Just, it's like noon and don't want to start yet. So, anyways, this is a battle I have against Mark Oliver, of course. And of course, since, I want to play Mark Oliver, he's going to be playing Accelgor. This is Nationals testing, so, it's kind of understandable. It's the deck he ended up playing, this Sunflora Accelgor kind of thing. So, I'm going to dual ball right off the bat after I attach to my Dynamo, and I'm going to nab out some more Dynamos and a Zekrom. You really only need two in this matchup because the catcher's not coming. I also bench the Terrakion because it's just like, I don't care, what he has to play. It's interesting to see I'm still playing an Ultra Ball in this build at this time. I've dropped Ultra Ball since. I know I'm going to be doing a deck profile that goes along with this, so I think I'm just going to Thunder Wave him, hoping I can kind of screw him out of the playground, but, unfortunately that's not the case. But anyways, he's just going to Sages, and he gets rid of his Tornadus EX, which, he kind of uses it like a wall. It's really interesting how he uses it, because he runs a single Sky Arrow Bridge, so he can free retreat it, but it really doesn't work in a deck that runs Zekrom, so he's going to get rid of that, and he's just going to Playground, get a bunch of good stuff, and we're going into my turn. So the thing I'm going to think about doing here, and the thing that people really don't do as much as they should, is go for this Shelmet in this case. That's really the Pokemon I want to target. And it's because if you just look at his board, you're going to notice that there's just like no reason not to go for it. He has up two Oddishes and two Sunflora. Those are both going to be there. There's nothing you can do. But if you knock out the Shelmet, then you're preventing your opponent from really being able to get things going. It's just like, he's not going to be able to lock me, so I'll have a Plume, which is nice, but at the same time, it doesn't really do much for him. So I'm going to Thunder Wave it actually. I kind of make the interesting play with where I Dynamotor and holding off on retreating. I do believe I'll actually be able to Bolt Strike next turn is my thought though, because I have the Junipers. I've also done a really nice job in this match of getting rid of all my trainers. I'm playing them like crazy. So he's just going to pass, which is fantastic for me. He has the full bench, so he still has it down. And the other thing to do is not go for the Pichu. Pichu is, the card I least want to attack because it's taking up bench space. And these setup decks, like Vanillix and this deck, they totally rely on just having a lot of bench space. So I'm going to retreat my Dynamo, evolve it into an Eel. And I have to do things in that order just because I want to, preserve that Eel. I don't know if my third one's prized. And if you look at my hand, I hit some pretty nice stuff. I hit the Lightning I need to attach. I hit another Terrakion, which aren't bad in this matchup. They do a good amount of damage. Mewtwo's are really good for the late game, but really right now what I want to do is be really effective with these two Zekroms. So by taking Shelmet off the board, I know I've got at least one more turn of no lock, and it's going to be, just really easy for me to, just keep attacking. He's probably going to have to try and Playground. He candies and Plumes, which is expected. I really kind of would have been surprised. He's going to Twins too, so he's going to be able to get a lot of stuff up this turn. I'm expecting at least one Sunflora, which is the case. So he'll be able to Sunshine Grace and get out a second one, and then Sunshine Grace again and get out something else. But that's just kind of how that deck works, So he's going to Playground, and he does hit the heads, which is, fairly unfortunate for me. And I'm going to bench another Terrakion and attach a Fighting to it. I think at this point in time I'm running 4 Fighting in the deck, so it's really nice, but both those guys can use Retaliate, and hopefully I'll just save one more energy for like a land crush if I need it. But he's going to get out the Accelgor. He also Sunshine Graces out an Oddish, and I think that's just a deck thinning thing that he's doing there. But that's one really nice thing about this Sunflora build is you can really thin your deck, and makes it a lot easier to hit those DCEs and just kind of stream them. But he's going to pass again. He's still asleep, I think was the case, which, kind of makes it so that it doesn't really hurt me in any way. And I'm just going to be able to Outrage and knock it out. So that 2 prize lead is a nice cushion. It's not as big as I would have liked it. This isn't the fastest deck I'm playing either, but I think it's enough to do alright in this matchup. He's just going to Sunshine Grace out some other stuff, a 1/1 Accelgor line, and he's just going to do that deck and cover thing that, those guys do. So that means that, he's going to have this other one in the active spot, and he's just going to be able to kind of stream them at this point. As long as he has access to twins, really, it's probably going to be the case is that he'll be able to stream these. He can also, Sunshine Grace out an entire 1/1 line, which is pretty big. So there's another Shelmet. And now that he's got 2 on the board, this is really his ideal setup. The 2 Sunflora and a Violet Plume. The only thing that he could be using, and I'm not sure if he's playing it quite yet, is a Tyrogue. Tyrogue is really fantastic for this matchup. In those situations where you're going to KO because Tyrogue, if he goes to sleep, there's nothing really your opponent can do. So he's just going to deck and cover into an Oddish. He has to sack something here, unfortunately, which, shows it's pretty favorable for me, and it's a 1/1 prize trade, so that's a really good thing when you can do that. And I just Dynamotor 2 energy to a Terrakion and a Zekrom, and because he had to attack me to KO, I'm going to be able to, outrage and knock out, which is a big deal. And then I'm just going to Juniper away all these trainers. I'm not too worried about decking out at this point, as long as I have a few Handfish cards like N. N is really fantastic in this matchup. I'll just be able to do stuff like, kind of draw through a lot of cards and then kind of keep it. I also draw Fighting Energy here, which is really nice. I should hold on to it, though, in case, he can't get things off. I'd kind of be stunned if he couldn't get off the deck and cover this turn. He only needs the energy. The Accelgors are pretty much guaranteed. And when you look at the way this deck plays, he's really not getting rid of any energy ever, and he's really not getting rid of any of the Accelgor line, so he's just thinning his deck of supporters, really. So it's more and more likely as the game goes on that he's going to have these energies to deck and cover. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't have the DCE, so he's kind of risking it now. He also runs the Skyro Bridge, but clearly he doesn't have it because otherwise he could just promote up Selby. Also means he doesn't have the twins. But, I've just got this loaded Terrakion. It'll actually die, or get knocked out. Sorry, Robbie, after I apologize. But it'll get knocked out coming into my turn, which is actually pretty good. So they can just pass for KO, but that also means that, he's going to have trouble. This is where you really need Tyrogue for these situations. If you can just, Mischievous Punch, you don't have to sack, and you've hit Tails, you don't have to sacrifice anything. So he's just going to pass KO. And I'm just going to be able to promote another Terrakion. And I actually attached the Fighting. And I attached the Fighting in this situation because it was poison damage, which means that he did not attack me for KO, so Retaliate doesn't work. I think I actually ended up doing that, realizing that I had the Fighting and just getting lucky. And you can see I am running 4 Fighting in my build right now. But I'm just going to Land Crush and take that second to last prize. And really at this point, I've been keeping up the 1-to-1 prize exchange, which really suggests that I'm going to be able to pull this game out. I haven't had to use any EXs. I have the Mewtwo on the bench that is just getting fat with energy, and I have the Zekrom. So I'm pretty sure that Zekrom can actually one-hit KO everything in his deck. So he's free to take these prizes, and that's really the problem that Accelgor has, is that it's too easy to one-shot things in it. Mark also thought of playing the Chandelure version, which is really interesting. I think that version is probably better than this one, just because without Tyrogue, you don't really have a consistent answer, for this exchange. It's just a slow exchange. He does lock you, and it can really hurt if he gets Plume up at the right time and stuff, but we're really seeing, my deck is also flourishing. I got rid of all these trainers, got out all these Pokemon in the beginning, and I'm really just kind of winning on the math. You see, I'm at 12 again, so, no matter what he does, I'm going to get knocked out and have a free attack next turn. I think the thing he's hoping for now is that they'll be able to start doing some work with Shaman EX. I think he's hoping that he'll be able to kill or knock out Zekrom somehow, and then I'll have to promote Mewtwo, and then he can Shaman EX sweep, which is definitely plausible. He just really has to get rid of all my attackers, and I only run 6 or so it's not impossible for him to do this. And he's just going to kind of try and thin his bench. He's actually going to bring up the Oddish and sack it. And at this point I actually thought about using the Electric to attack, but I just don't have the energy on him. So I have to use Zekrom, which is a little unfortunate. I'm trying to conserve my attackers. But actually I could Dynamotor and actually pull it off still, but it'd kind of just be a waste, I guess. I might as well just, get off the Bolt Strike. And I just keep Dynamotoring. I think I have 7 energy on that Mewtwo now, which is just ridiculous. So there's a Bolt Strike and a KO. I also have the energy on the Dynamo, so I can just retreat and get 2 more on. So I'm pretty confident I can take that last prize at this point. The game's pretty much sealed, you know. He can KO that Zekrom, but I have that Mewtwo that's, you know, as charged up as, you know, you can get in these crazy Trainer Lock matches. And that's when you really see the big X-Ball damage is Trainer Lock, because it's just like, I can just put as many energies on that Mewtwo as I want, and you're not going to catch it up. So I'll Dynamotor to it every turn. And yeah, so I'm expecting the deck and cover, but you know, not a lot to say about this game at this point, unfortunately. You know, I feel like this Zeels build actually pretty much completely counters Accelgor, and I think that that's one of the things I've really picked up on is that Zeels had the best Trainer Lock matchups across the board. It's one of the reasons I've never been afraid of Vanillix. I also, you know, kind of know how to play it. I feel like going for that Shelmet initially rather than trying to KO one of the Oddishes and stop Trainer Lock. I think that's one of the keys to this matchup, and I was going to write a 6 prize article on it, but I just didn't get around to it, is knowing how to play that lock. You know, it's not about preventing Vileplume, it's all about preventing the actual lock itself. And in that case, you know, that's how you did it. If you only could get out one Oddish, then, you know, you go for Oddish or whatever. Sunflora is kind of complicated to think about. Same thing's true with Vanillix, especially Vanillites with energies, you know. Those guys, you know, if one has energy and you can catch it, you know Vileplume's going to come up because they have 2 Oddishes and twins or whatever. Go for that Vanillite. It's another turn they won't have the lock, and, you know, it's another turn for you to take a prize. But he's just going to deck and cover again, I believe, here. You know, no reason not to. Otherwise, I just win. He retreats to Pichu. Okay, so this is what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and make it so that I get knocked out. But unfortunately, I believe that he just stays awake and outrage it, and I can outrage for game. So that's going to be the game, guys. I will have a deck profile for this deck that I use coming out. It's actually going to be a little bit different. It's the deck I would have run for Nationals is pretty much what it is, and you know, I might talk about Nationals a little bit and you know what happened, or maybe I'll save that for another video. But you know, make sure you rate, comment, subscribe, like, you know, all that stuff I always tell you to do. Hopefully you do it, and I'll catch you guys later.